Well, good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this session of Meet the Controller rather than Controllers. Stuart Murphy, of course, needs very little introduction, but I probably do need a little bit of introduction because I bet not many of you know who I am. My name's Daisy McAndrew. My day job is a TV journalist and presenter, mainly business and politics. So for me to be here in such a very glamorous environment is really exciting. But obviously, you are not here to see me. You are here to meet Stuart Murphy and find out what Stuart Murphy is all about, what he did last year, what he's got coming up in the year ahead. Of course, his job at the moment is director of Sky Entertainment Channels, but formerly for 3 years was director of Sky One. So really in this session, we are going to talk a lot about Sky One. We will cover some other channels towards the end of the session. And of course, I'm hoping very much to take some of your questions, but feel free, don't leave them till the end. Do tweet them if you want. I think the hashtag is up there, TV Controllers. I can see one tweet has already come in saying, looking forward to the genius of Stuart Murphy. So there's not much to live up to there. Nothing like putting pressure on at the very beginning. But before we talk to Stuart, let's have a look at everything that's been going on for him in the last year or so.
Anybody got any idea where we are?
I'm here to prove that dance is for everyone.
Is that a gun, or are you just pleased to see me?
It's a gun.
Now there's a man who beat.
Happy Brenda, are you back? Why are you interviewing me?
Because no one else knows you exist.
Good point.
Surprise!
I'm definitely the better dancer.
I'm a good little mover.
Like a little fly dying on its back.
That's amazing!
You okay?
It's gonna turn off and it will never, ever turn back on.
What's gonna turn off?
Everything.
Why does drama keep following me everywhere I go?
Wait, do I say fire?
It's very frustrating.
Ah!
Like a woman.
That's where we should go. While we're still young-ish.
Okay, say cheese.
Cheese.
Okay, now one with flash.
Cheese.
Stuart, I hope by that very last shot, you're not saying that everything on Sky One is cheesy.
No. But yeah, it's funny. I love Modern Family. It's very funny.
Just looking back at that, I know that you said, I think a year or so ago, that you sort of gave yourself a mission statement and said, I'd like to be the equivalent of Sky Sports, as in Sky Sports has such a strong brand and image. Do you think you've achieved that? Or are you near to achieving that?
Yeah, I think we have achieved it, really. I mean, so I've been in the job about 4.5 years, and I think the Sky brand means really resonates and had just mainly resonated with a sports audience in that it was effortlessly innovative, it was very pacey, it had the best talent, it had world-class production values. If it took an area that someone else had done, it did it supersized. And my worry on joining was that we didn't do that with entertainment. I think now we're in a position where we do that. Audiences tell us that the channel they most value after BBC One and ITV1 is Sky One, that's among Sky customers. This year, we won more BAFTAs than ITV won, and the same amount as Channel 4. So if it's kind of Soho street cred you're after, it feels like we're there. And certainly in terms of audiences, audience numbers, I think when you look at total consumption, because we're a business that pushes consumption across all platforms, actually it's going in the right direction.
But just to pick up on something, you said that that Sky customers said that they valued Sky, but surely those Sky customers bought Sky. One of the reasons they would have bought Sky was to have Sky, so they would say that Sky was a very valued channel for them as compared to the people that don't take out a subscription to Sky, so therefore wouldn't value Sky One.
Actually, I gave you an incomplete answer. I mean, I think there's about 200 channels on the Sky platform, so it's really good that we're third among 200 channels and come higher than the Channel 4 and Channel 5s of this world, and BBC Two. I think among prospects, which are people who don't have Sky, we ask what are the channels they most want to watch, and a quarter of prospects, a quarter of people who don't have Sky, say Sky One is the main channel they want to watch. So we do well not only among Sky subscribers, but also among prospects. And because we're a subscription business, that's my main focus, to make sure Sky is a tempting offer that people who have us, love us, and feel we give value every day. Those who don't have us, they decide actually free TV is good, but it's better with pay TV.
Of course, one of the things you're famous for is having a £600 million piggy bank that you've committed to spending on new projects by 2014? Or
by the end of 2014,
By the end of 2014.
Yeah.
So how much is left?
That's so funny. I did wonder what you were going to say when one of the things I'm most famous for. I was like, what the fuck have I done?
Well, come on to that.
So many things,
that's my next question.
How much is left? Oh, God, I just don't even think like that. I mean, it's not like it's a knockout thing where it's that full tube that's going down bit by bit. You know, we're definitely on track to spend it. You know, when someone says spend 600 million quid, you start shopping. I think my whole reason, my whole job is to make sure that our commissioning team and channel teams feel inspired and motivated, that I only have the best commissioning teams, that I let them get on with it, so you'll never find me in an edit, and I make sure that they feel inspired, well-resourced, looked after, motivated, so they can work with the best indies in the country and get the best out of them. So about a year ago, we had a particular away day at my flat. We went through what...
Well, it wasn't a very away day for you, then.
No. But I don't know why people laughed at it. Why is that quite funny that it was at my flat? I mean, we're in the bath, we're hanging out.
For an away day. Don't stay at home for an away day.
It's like we're all about what's on screen at Sky. So anyway, we're having water at my flat, having fun, and and we were working out. We were saying, you know, when we're all 80 and we look back at our TV careers, I want to make sure that the channel heads and the genre heads feel they had their best years when they were at Sky, and I certainly want to feel that as well. And I want indies to feel that they had their most rewarding creative experience when they were at Sky. And, you know, for people to fondly look back when they're waiting for 50 minutes in reception at one of the other broadcasters, I hear, that they're just lamenting that they're not at Sky having great fun.
So when you were at this away day, what were the shows that you were patting yourselves on the back with your glass of water in your hand most about?
In fact, we were actually looking at our shows because we're not like that as people. We're very modest. But we were, we're listing all the shows that I think have changed the face of TV and film. So we looked at Platoon. We looked at the opening 5 minutes of Up. We looked at St. Elsewhere. We looked at The Royal Family, the TV show, as opposed to the institution. And we just thought, actually, if we can create something like that is magical and changes the game, then we've done what we're supposed to do at Sky.
And what have you made so far, not looking forward, but that's already broadcast that you think comes closest to that?
Well, it's interesting to say that. I mean, I suppose if I'm being really honest, I don't think... I think game-changing TV happens sort of once in a generation. I think it happened with Big Brother, and I don't think it happens that often. I think we're doing really well at Sky, and audiences love what we're doing. I think we're probably 8.5, 9 out of 10. I think we're doing really, really great. On Sky One, we set out to have 12 A priorities that we can go huge with, and I think we've got slightly more than that. So I think Stella was an enormous achievement to go from script straight to 10 1 hours with a company that was a brand new indie. I think getting David Attenborough, who loves the BBC, as lots of us do, to see there's real value in working elsewhere and work with us was brilliant. So I loved Galapagos. I thought that was an amazing achievement and a beautiful piece of factual TV. I love the fact that lots of people said to invent a tentpole entertainment show is a slightly crazy thing to do outside BBC One and ITV1. But with Got to Dance, I think we showed that you can have a show that makes sense, feels epic and big, and doesn't just depend on people who are borderline educationally subnormal as contestants.
Well, we will come on to more shiny floor shows.
And good contestants as well.
A little bit later. It sounds like, although you're being very proud of Sky, but it sounds to me like you're also being very honest and saying, actually, you haven't had that one big breakthrough, monumental programme, that you're still chasing it.
I suppose, yeah, I mean, I'm so bored of going to Edinburgh and hearing people in my position spill out platitudes about how unbelievably perfect their job is. We all know none of our jobs are a science, and that's the joyful thing about it. It's all about creative endeavour, where your whole purpose is to try and emotionally touch someone. So I think we've had incredible shows. I think An Idiot Abroad is an incredible show, third highest rating show on Sky One ever. The idea that a group of people introduced the real-life Homer Simpson to a nation of bewildered Brits, it's great. I love what Carl does. There's genius in his stupidity. So I think that was amazing. I think what we did with Strike Back, when everyone was very nervous and snotty about action drama, we showed that people love drama elsewhere, but actually there's a real desire to have other types of drama. So I think we've had great shows. Don't get me wrong, I'm not making out we've had a bad run.
You're particularly keen on comedy. I know that for you is a biggie. So let's have a quick look at one of your big comedy programmes this year, Stella.
And that was for saving our club.
Ha! Get us a pint of Bowen, will you, lover boy? My mouth is like the inside of a bouncer's dap.
Okay, you win. You've discovered my Achilles heel.
What?
Acts of overwhelming generosity completely turn me on.
So Stella was a very gentle comedy. It wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I mean, in fact, some people, I think it was Shane Allen said that your comedy taste was a bit like a African dictator. He had a lot of money, but not a lot of taste. How do you react to what he said?
I mean, I think I just wish Shane Allen was as funny in the shows he commissioned as his comments. I've never met Shane Allen. I only heard of him. He's one of those people who've risen without trace. But I think Stella, I'm not that bothered what other people in the industry, to be honest, think of our shows. Stella was the highest rating comedy in pay TV. So, and that's why we bring it back for, it's in its third series. It's going to come back for a fourth. I think what I love about our comedy is, firstly, it makes people laugh. And you can't say that about some people's slates. I think it actually has quite a lot of gags per page. I think you watch Modern Family, or you watch Stella, or you watch A Touch of Cloth, or Tonight, Chickens, or Trolleyed. They're funny shows. So the one promise you've got with the comedy is it's going to make you laugh. I'm not in the business of making people feel that the world is a grimmer place than it actually is. And some channels, I think, sort of tend to have a positioning which is a little bit smug and makes you feel a bit down, and that life isn't good and people aren't decent. Actually, if people are paying for Sky, I think people want a slightly more uplifting sentiment. Sky One's position is all about being authentic, hopeful, optimistic, and Stella totally delivers on that. And I totally love it. If the requests I get for future episodes from people are anything to go by, lots of other people love it.
Well, you've mentioned Touch of Cloth already, so let's have a quick look at that as well.
A flurry of undressing and he's naked on his back. Her topless astride him, grinding her silk-clad sex against his stiffening manhood. She leans forward, her breast teasing him, his tongue greedily circling the nipple.
Go away.
In and out, and 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 in and out.
You made a good fist of it, but you can't pull this off.
Something's up, and everyone in this room can see what it is.
I'm so glad I'd watched that before sitting on this stage, otherwise I think I would have been a little bit tongue-tied. You said you love silly TV. That is about as silly as it gets.
Yeah. I mean, there's different flavours of comedy out there, and I think that kind of warm family drama I love. I think silly gags like, slip-on banana skin gags or airplane-type gags I totally love as well. I love The In-Betweeners. I think it was a work of genius from Angela Jane and Buarque. So I was really excited that we managed to get chickens.
And it was similar because you tried to get Gavin and Stacey as well, and then obviously had Stella as having not managed to get Gavin and Stacey.
That's it, yeah. I mean, I know Ruth and James really well, obviously, and asked if they wanted to bring it to Sky. I think with hindsight, I'm glad they didn't. I think when I turned up to Sky, there was probably a bit of a reputation that we just nicked lots of things. So, and it was a reputation that was only based on 2 or 3 shows, but they were pretty iconic shows like 24 and Lost. And actually, we haven't really done it much since. I think we did it, obviously with Glee. But I love the fact that 4.5 years on, we're in a position where we can generate our own hits and get recognised and win, British Comedy Awards for Hunderby or Rose d'Or for Spy. We can deliver our own hits.
And you mentioned Ruth and James, if I can call them that as well. And that does seem to be very much the sort of the Sky One way that you choose a person or you find a talent and sort of concentrate the comedy around that individual. Is that the way you can see it continuing?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I suppose the bit that everyone sees is that we aim for on-screen talent, excuse me, and we're definitely really, what's the word? We court big talent. There's a whole load of major talent elsewhere that I would love to come to Sky for the right thing.
Can you name any?
Yeah, I love Anton Deck. I love, I think Jonathan Ross is great. I love Miranda. I love, there's a whole load of people, I think, all the huge talent that people in Britain love. What's really important, though, is they come to Sky to do something different. And we're not in the business of just signing people and getting them to do a passion project that isn't distinctive. Because, to be blunt, people won't be happy paying for that. So on Sky Arts, for instance, I know this is about Sky One, but, getting Harry Potter and...
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. I always forget his actual name.
And John Hamm.
Yeah, exactly, them. So getting them to Sky, it was to get them to do something entirely different. What people don't see, that we do a lot of behind the scenes on, is courting indies or producers or writers we really, really want to work with.
And is it true that the Sky One's spending more on comedy than Channel 4 and BBC?
I don't know what they spend on their comedy. Someone with a huge calculator worked out we do more comedy than the BBC, but I don't know if that's true. It's not, I'm quite a short young man, so for me it's not the, oh no, I'm not even going to say it, but it's about the quality. So that actually sounds quite weird. I did mean my height, by the way.
I'm saying nothing.
No, I don't know where that was going. Like, really filthy audience. I wish I could
think it was a touch of cloth clip.
Right, yeah. Anyway, can we move on from that? Yeah. My head still pulls on that.
Why don't we move on to Got to Dance? We've already mentioned it once. We've seen a clip, but we're going to see, Got to Dance clip.
The Got to Dance champion, 2013, and winner of £250,000 is Lucas McFarlane! Congratulations to everyone tonight. The winner of Got to Dance 2013 is Lucas McFarlane.
Now, this is purely from self-interest, because I read my household with young children was completely addicted to Got to Dance. Did it matter that he was Canadian, not British? Because he was...
No.
No, it didn't matter. Because it's, when you look at Britain's Got Talent having a foreign winner, and it sort of seemed to be a problem for a lot of critics.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just called Got to Dance, not Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
That isn't supposed to be a dig. I mean, it's called Got to Dance. But,
and it's coming back for its 4th series, or that was its 4th?
So Adam's just joined. Adam McDonald, new head of Sky One, and him and Phil are going to work out what we do Got to Dance. So it's for them to say. But we love it.
So it hasn't been recommissioned?
Hasn't been recommissioned yet, but we really love it, and so, yeah.
And what were the ratings like last time?
So that's not the primary way we judge it. We work out whether it's one of the shows that drives people to get a subscription or adds to the value. But the ratings were about 1.5 million, which is pretty good when you look at what some terrestrial dramas do.
And presumably that's mainly down to Ashley Banjo, who my 73-year-old mother is in love with and my 7-year-old daughter is in love with. So presumably...
There's a sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. That's this session is going from weird to weird.
Could I just... You know, I had such high hopes of this controller session. I think the thing is, because I don't directly run a channel anymore, I slightly don't care. I obviously do care. All I was going to say about Got to Dance was, you know, Phil Edgar Jones, who I think is the best cook in the business and the best head of entertainment in the business. Him and Adam are going to need to work out what our next big entertainment tentpole needs to be at Sky.
On that, because obviously a lot of people saying the big shiny floor show is running out of steam. X Factor's keeps reinventing itself and Strictly coming up, maybe coming down. And I mean, would you agree with that? Would you agree that it's time for something new?
That's interesting. I mean, as a viewer, I still watch those big shows. I don't necessarily like myself when I finish watching those big shows.
But I think what you were saying earlier, which was a tongue-in-cheek comment, but about some of these shows looking like they just take the piss out of people with difficulties in their own lives. I think that over the years is definitely something the viewers are becoming more uncomfortable with.
I think so. I mean, I think there's a general thing, I think, that if you have big category A shows, they need to completely summarise your brand. And you don't invest this amount of time and creative energy on a show if it's not smack bang in the centre of your brand. For me, Sky One is about being optimistic and broad and modern and respectful. And so for some shows might feel comfortable being, sort of dissing people who are contestants. I would feel really uncomfortable with that. And it just goes contrary to what Sky is. Sky is a kind of can-do place. So all I was going to say is about the broad thing about whether there's a change required in entertainment. I do watch lots of these shows. I think my general enjoyment of the shows right across the board has probably slightly gone down because I can see the tricks that are being pulled by the producers.
Like what?
Casting tricks or, kind of sub-story type things. So I think generally all of us are...
The whole
violin players, the whole thing. And I think audiences are a lot more savvy about how TV's put together. So, one of the challenges I set to Phil and Adam and to the creative community here is I would love to try something that's really different, that disrupts the market, that feels like...
Sorry to interrupt you, because you said last year that you were looking for something of enormous scale in that genre. Would that still be the case? Are you still saying, give me something?
Yeah. I want to say we love Got to Dance. We really love Got to Dance. But yeah, I think we're constantly on the lookout. So Phil, for the past, I think it's been here about a year, at Sky about a year, has been working with indies and really saying, come to Sky to take big, bold, creative risks. And our job as commissioners and controllers is to encourage you and then protect you and sort of have your back. And so we've done various tasters they range on the spectrum of absolutely mental and very funny, but of scale and about family and caring and optimistic and joyous, to the type of the type of show you've never seen before, to stuff that's in more familiar territory, that's possibly more reality type. And so probably over the next few months, we will kind of harvest those ideas and see where we get to.
And I must move on, but very briefly, is there any truth, because people do say that some of these shows haven't been commissioned on financial grounds, that the 2.3 billion spent on Premier League has somehow encroached into the budget for these? Is there any...
No, there's 100% no truth in it whatsoever. So just to address that point head on, so Sky as a company is pretty good at money. I think no matter what you think of Sky, actually you can see that that's the case. I think the very idea that Sky would be caught on the hop by buying its biggest and most valuable asset is just absurd. And I know it went around various people and said, oh, it was a bit of a surprise, you had to pay that for the Premier League. Sky doesn't get caught out by financial surprises, and I'm sure that's not news to people in the audience. So the other thing I'd say is we're in a position from the first 2 years of being at Sky where we were commissioning lots and lots of stuff. For the first time, we had loads of returners. So I think we had 11 returning comedies. Great position to be in, but it meant for the first time we were having to say no to indies. And we had to sort of recalibrate our relationship from, from trying to mature as a broadcaster and say we can now be a lot more judicious about where we go. And the third thing I'd say is, as a commercial broadcaster, we have to respond to the market. And if at one point in the year money needs to move from pushing broadband to content, that's what will happen. If elsewhere we need to move money from factual to drama, that's what will happen. And there's I think it's only the BBC who have the guaranteed income and all the good things that come from that. But we've got to move around. But no, we weren't caught on the hop, and there wasn't money taken away for the Premiership.
All right, thank you, Stuart. Right, we're going to move on to Factual. And if this is okay, what I'd like to do is run the two Factual clips back to back. So we're seeing, firstly, Greg's brilliant title, More Than Eats the Pie.
Meets the Pie.
Meets the Pie, sorry, I couldn't read my own writing. And then Freddie Flintoff, of course, another great title, From Lords to the Ring. So if that's okay, we'll play them both back to back and then chat about them both.
Who would I like to feed with some of my products? Paul Hollywood. Because then when he's eating it, I can tell him how he should be making it rather than what he says on the telly, because some of it is like, he's reading it out of Enid Blyton. I watched one the other week and he was making plat loaves, and it's like, if my guys made plat loaves like that, he'd be out in your ear. I would like Paul Hollywood to sit down, try one of my plat loaves, and I can tell him how it's done, bless him. Paul Hollywood, what a name. Paul Hollywood. It's like saying, I'm John Essex.
Show us your mental toughness. Get your head down, right? You need to win this last round, okay? You need to win it. Be serious.
Trade jabs early on. Do enough, just don't do anything daft. And from Flintoff. Third on the feet again.
Body shot.
There's just so much desire closing.
So obviously two factual examples of Sky's programmes, very different. I guess you could call the first one fun factual and the second one macho factual, which I think is a term you came up with. But where does, if you do things like that, both very different, does that leave any room for serious factual?
Yeah, definitely. So, so this season we've got Ross Kemp's coming back. So he's looked at selling of children in Delhi. He's in Rio, and it's about. He also goes to Rio. He goes all over the world, and does proper, decent investigations that are amazing. Very proud of them. So yeah, it definitely leaves room for serious factual. I think there are lots of flavours across factual. So I love our funny factual. I think Celia Taylor, who has actually no sense of humour whatsoever, has, purely by luck, managed to get a lot of funny things on her slate. And so, Pineapple Dance Studios, I think, was terrifically ridiculous. I think An Idiot Abroad is a brilliant crafted bit of TV from Chris and Richard and the guys. And Greg's was part of that. We've got to find ways of covering genres that take a tangential look at the world. Really important to me is that Sky, as a brand, is always within touching distance of the audience. It's one. I think it's probably the only broadcaster that legally goes in your front room, and we start the relationship where someone from Sky turns up, fits your box, and you meet the broadcaster. And I think you get that sense that we're absolutely on a level with the audience right the way through the organisation. So one of the things we all have to do, as a bit of an aside, is we all go in the satellite vans and turn up to people's houses and watch a satellite dish get installed and stuff like that.
Do you have to wear uniform?
You don't have to, but some of us choose to.
And have you gone out in your...
Some of us install the dish as well, Daisy, to be honest. No, but And, you know, it's a key part of understanding what the business is about. Everyone does it, from chief exec to right at the bottom of the organisation. And I think that sense that we get how you feel because we feel the same way too, we definitely have that in sport with our passion for sport. We definitely have it in movies. We absolutely have it in news, the first people to do 24-hour rolling news in Britain. And we totally have it in entertainment. And so Greggs was like a slam dunk for us when they said, we're going to do a popular show on the high street. We're going to try and do it in a funny way. And it'll have a strong vein of criticising John Hollywood throughout each of the episodes. I was like, yeah, come on.
Now, we're just about to move on to what's coming up, so I know people are going to be very keen to see that. But just finally on the Freddie Flintoff, I mean, that didn't rate terribly. Will he be back? Is he doing more?
So Freddie, really key to us. I mean, ratings are not the key thing because we're a subscription business, not a ratings business. But Freddie's on a league of their own. I don't think he wants to do boxing again. He beat someone up and he's happy with that. So yeah, I think move on to the next violent act.
But just on the ratings issue, I mean, I know you've said a number of times now ratings aren't what matters to you, and I saw what Broadcast printed at Christmas time, and that obviously you got the right royal hump with them because I saw your reaction, and you were saying that they had misunderstood the purpose of Sky and that ratings wasn't what you were all about, which you said here. But surely, if your purpose is to sell subscriptions, and those people then take out subscriptions and they have a Sky box in their telly, and they're not watching your programmes because your ratings aren't up, then that is a failure, not a success.
Yeah, no, you're right. The two things are connected, but that's, you know, we are in a fundamentally different business to everyone else. So what's really important to us is we do show. Let me start in a different place. We have 3 different types of channels. We've got ones that need to be watched and loved, and that's Sky One and Sky Living. We've got ones that need to be loved and don't need to be as watched in as big numbers, but in fact often are, which is Sky Atlantic and Sky Arts. And then we've got free-to-air channels that need to be watched, don't necessarily need to be loved, which are Pick TV and Challenge. So we've got 3 sets of channels. On Sky One and Sky Living, but mainly Sky One because it's the kind of daddy of the channels, the prime reason we're there is to make the value proposition for Sky really rich and important. Put bluntly, that's where Sky makes its revenue. It makes, you know, kind of, I don't know the exact figure, sort of 90% of its revenue from subscriptions. So a programme like Girls is massively important to Sky. It doesn't rate. Actually, it does okay. I don't know what it does, but that shows how it's not, ratings are not part of our mainstream discussion. People love Girls, and we've got it, and it prompts love and value and retains subscriptions at Sky. Game of Thrones, people are obsessed with. Actually, that rates through the roof. I think it gets about 1.5 million, 2 million, even though it's in a third less homes than our other channels. And that does both jobs. But first and foremost, we're there to create value. So, of course, it would be disingenuous for me to say I didn't look at ratings. I definitely do. I don't just look at them on the overnight. I look at them on consolidated with how many people have watched it on Sky Plus. But also, I look, if we're investing millions in Sky Go, in Sky Mobile, in Now TV, in all the other things we do, you know, it's insane if I don't include all those as well. So we look at the bigger picture, and it's complicated. And it is, strangely, quite a big thing for some people in the industry to get their head around. But it's just a fundamentally different business. It's more akin to HBO than it is to ITV1.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Stuart. Now, we're looking at things that are coming up, so I don't think anyone will have seen these clips. We're going to run 3 clips back to back. Smoke, Moaning of Life, and Yonderland. Just before we do that, just to give us a brief idea of what we're looking at.
Sorry.
Sound like maybe you need a smoke. With what are we looking at with Smoke, first of all?
So the Smoke, it's our latest articulation of our drama strategy, which is high value, long running. It's from Kudos. And it's, if Sky did fire drama, this is what it would look like. Couldn't be happier. Absolutely adore it. Second thing is
Moaning of Life.
The Moaning of Life, which is Carl Pilkington trying to address the big questions in life and do it brilliantly. And what was the final one again?
Final one is Yonderland, the kids' one.
Yonderland is our huge comedy. So this weekend is a big weekend for Sky One comedy, but Yonderland is we took the creators of Horrible Histories, we said to them, why don't you make something that's not a kid's show? We took some of the creators of The Muppets, and we with working title, assembled a show that is part fantasy and has puppets and real people. And I think the scene you're going to see is where our ordinary woman from the real world, who's fallen into the fantasy world, meets the Oracle and tries to get key questions from the Oracle as to why she's in the fantasy world.
Okay, lovely. Popcorn at the ready. Let's have a look.
For centuries, life's big questions have challenged some of the world's greatest minds. The need for love, marriage, and lifelong commitment. The yearning for reproduction and the survival of the human race. The search for a vocation. The desire to find happiness. And the inevitable death. But Carl Pilkington has not given a second thought to any of these issues.
This cat's cross-eyed. I've never seen that before.
Now he's turned 40, he thinks it's time he did. Now he's travelling around the world to see how other people deal with life's big questions.
We've had the Iron Age, the Stone Age. This is the pissing about age.
Carl wants to know why people get married.
Just because two people love each other, you drag other people into it. Get on with it.
He wants to find out if you need to have children.
This has definitely confirmed that this is not for me, this, at all.
Do you need a vocation in life?
Tell you what, thirsty work, though.
What's the secret of happiness? And how do you deal with death? This is the moaning of life.
It's like, who's the mental one in it? Is it me or everyone else?
Visitors? So long since visitors. Chair. Sit. So pretty. So very pretty. I too know the burden of beauty. Tea?
Oh, yes, please. That would be amazing.
What kind of tea?
What sort do you have?
None. Cake?
Is this the same as the tea thing?
Yes. Biscuits?
Look, whilst I'd love to spend the day going through the contents of your fictional cupboard, we actually need your help.
Yeah, you see, I've been pulled into this world by this.
Him.
Yeah, and no one seems to know why. So I was hoping, you know, if you are what they say you are.
A slapper?
What? No, an oracle.
Oh, no! I'm not the Oracle, dear. I'm merely his guardian, ensuring his health and well-being.
Well, can I see him?
Oh.
So a taste of
okay, we didn't get to the Oracle.
Some things to come. So we can see those are the things that obviously you have commissioned that are coming out this year.
Yeah.
What other things are you looking for? If you were going to give your, if you were writing to Father Christmas and saying, please, please, please bring me these programmes.
So in comedy, we are looking for vehicles where talent are front and centre. Potentially pre-Watershed. I think a sitcom, potentially...
Sorry to interrupt. Talking of pre-Watershed, because you act Spy, which was that sort of... I was moaning to you earlier that it was one of the few programmes I could watch with my kids. That didn't, so is it that sort of thing, something to replace that type of programme?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that it's pre-Watershed. I suppose where it'd be different from Spy is that we'd possibly want a studio audience, which is quite a difficult thing to get right. So pre-Watershed sitcom in front of a studio audience that's very... with talent front and centre. So that's definitely something Lucy's after. I think in Factual...
Because you've got the Harrow one coming up.
In Factual.
In Factual, yep. So that's a bit of a move away from you. I mean, I suppose a lot of your Factuals have been taking the mickey out of people, can we expect Harrow School to be coming under the same?
No. It's very straight. It's one of the straighter bits of the factual piece. But in Factual, it's early days for Adam. Adam's come from running a set of Factual channels, so I don't want to preempt what he wants. He's only 3 weeks into the job, but he has already talked about 8 o'clock Factual and what we could do there, repeatable formats, and he can go into more detail there, and he was part of the gang that did Coach Trip. He's going to be fantastic, by the way. I think in entertainment, Phil and his team are bringing to the screen Duck Quacks Don't Echo with Lee Mack, which is like the new generation of panel shows where there's a kind of panel and then a huge performance area. And I think they're always on the lookout for things like that, that can be long-run series. And obviously, for anyone who knows Phil, I think big mental entertainment shows of scale is definitely in his area, and in his he's setting his sights on that. I think in terms of drama, we've gone from a place of having Dream Team and Mile High to Pratchett's, one-offs to The Take, and then to get long runners like Strike Back. Now we've got a kind of new generation of really high-value, long-running stuff like The Smoke, and Anne will definitely want to hear about ideas in that area. They probably need to be familiar territories or familiar worlds, but chat with Anne because she has personal passion areas that might float your boat.
And just on drama, I mean, it looks like, whilst you were saying it's a new generation, and a lot of those big original content dramas are very sort of, again, very masculine dramas, the sort of Smoke and Strike Back and that. I mean, would you go down the more period drama, Downton-y, Mr. Selfridge type line, or is that not really Sky One?
I think never say never, but pretty much never.
That'll be a no.
Yeah, I mean, Moonfleet that we've got this Christmas from Ashley Farrow, 2 1 hours. It's a big family epic. It's in the spirit of Treasure Island that we did last year. We've discussed about whether things feel muscular at Sky, and Sky One as a channel only skews slightly male, as in like 52% male, so we're not talking a kind of 65% male channel. I think possibly what it is people get the tone confused with masculinity, and so it's the channel needs to feel kind of exuberant and unrestrained and probably uncompromising in some places in a fun way, and some people think that's what men are about.
Well, that brings us neatly on to Atlantic, on Sky Atlantic. And just you're going to introduce a clip from that big new show, The Tunnel. But before you do, just explain, what is Sky Atlantic all about?
Sky Atlantic is about cinematic, world-class TV.
And The Tunnel?
And so The Tunnel is an adaptation of The Bridge, the Scandi drama, where cops found a dead body on the national dividing line, and in the tunnel, it's in the Channel Tunnel, they find the dead body, half in Britain, half in France. I think this is possibly a slightly gory clip. A third of the tunnel is in French with subtitles. It's a co-production with Canal+. It's huge production values, and it's directed by Dominic Moll, and couldn't be more excited.
Let's have a quick look.
Je crois que c'est elle.
On dirait, oui.
Oh!
Is there something wrong, sir?
You know what's wrong? Practically in the staff bulletin.
Did it hurt?
No, not at the time.
Là, les roast beef.
T'inquiète, ils parlent tous français. Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Parlez-vous anglais?
Our forensic teams are already working.
Sure. She's been placed. The posture.
Yes.
And the legs are...
Her head is in France and she's French, so it remains a French investigation.
Steady on, Joan. I'm not looking for a war over it.
My name is not Joan.
You said the victim's French.
An MP was reported missing yesterday. We think it is her.
How do you think the body was brought here?
We're assuming it must be a French maintenance car. One of them is unaccounted for and the driver is missing.
All right, well, we'll just wait for confirmation that we're not needed.
I can confirm that.
From a senior British officer. And then we'll be on our way. We'll observe from a distance. Maybe we can learn something, eh? Right.
What did they say?
French have it. We can go and snuggle under our duvets.
No bloody manners, the French.
They're direct. Quite like that. I should go and give them my details.
All the way, it's not very gory. I don't know what he's talking about. What was working with Canal Plus like as a conglomerate of a partnership? Because that's not something you've done a lot of before.
No, you're right. It was great. Total joy. We worked with Stars quite a bit, Canal Plus, HBO. I think when we're aiming for world-class scale, it helps to have big co-production partners, and particularly people who share our philosophy. And yeah, we're close to the guys.
So looking to do more of that sort of thing?
No question, yeah, definitely.
And given that it's a remaking of The Bridge, won't everybody know who did it?
It depends how many people watch The Bridge. I mean, it wasn't, I think it's possible, absolutely possible to really enjoy this even if you know what happened with The Bridge. But yeah, I'm not at all concerned by that.
And I know you've got other new programmes as yet unannounced in drama.
Oh God, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention them. Thanks.
Nudge, nudge.
Yeah, really chuffed that because everyone else has an announcement at Edinburgh, don't they? So we signed up Martin Freeman, which I'm really pleased about.
And what will he be doing?
He's going to do Little Crackers for us at Christmas, and so the story of his life, half-hour comedy. And we have signed up. Oh yeah, that was it. We can confirm that we're doing the Kumars. To be honest, it's the worst kept secret in TV. But after 7 years of not being on TV, we're bringing it back. But actually, the situation's different. The Kumars family have fallen on hard times. Sanjeev's character, his wife has gone to Mumbai and left him on his own. The dad has done a deal with Bimla, this big fictional Indian company, and he said in return for him running the newsagents underneath the studio, Bimla will fund a TV show every week. So they're now in Isleworth, they're running a newsagent, and they've got a TV show upstairs, and it's properly funny. Umi is back and filthy as ever.
And
so,
did you say when it's airing?
I didn't, and I probably should have done. I think it's in the new year, is it?
New year.
Yeah, it's in the new year.
Sometime in the new year.
I'm rubbish on dates.
Now, I'm aware that we're running a little short on time, so I just want to, and also I should probably let producers know that I don't quite know how, but this machine has got totally blank. So if there's anything, if there are any tweets on there, I can't see them. So, yeah. So if any of you guys have got questions, stick your hands up, and I'll keep an eye on. And while we get a mic to you. Of course, it does strike me that there is one question that I should ask you. Someone was muttering to me earlier saying, well, isn't Stuart going to Channel 4 to rescue them anyway? So is it all completely pointless talking about what he's going to do in the next year?
So, no, I'm not. I'm really, really happy at Sky. I'm not deaf to the rumours. I've heard them as well. But Jay's firmly in that job. I'm very, very happy at Sky. I've worked very hard to make sure we have brilliant people at Sky, and I love the people I work with. I admire them a lot, and going to work's a joy every single day, so I'm absolutely not in a rush to leave an environment where brilliant creatives from TV come in and see the commissioners, and I get to talk with smart, imaginative people every day.
And on that subject, Charlie Parsons was saying earlier this year that he had complained to Channel 4 that their relationship with indies was rock bottom. Obviously, you've worked with many indies over the year. I don't expect you to comment on Channel 4's relationship with indies, but do you see a general problem with the relationship between controllers and commissioners and indies?
I don't, but you know, I'm on a panel tomorrow about the commissioning survey. I think we work really hard and take really seriously our role in the commissioning value chain. All the commissioners know they're not there as de facto series producers or exec producers. And if they're exec producing a show, then either they need to leave Sky or they need to get rid of the exec producer whose job they're trying to replace. That is not the role of a commissioner. The role of a commissioner is to set a very clear strategy, go and find the best talent and inspire them to make the best work they've ever made.
Well, I think you were preaching to the converted. I saw a lot of nodding heads going on in this audience. I know there was a question here, and anybody else who's got a question, stick your hand up. But I think there was a, yes, lady there. Thank you.
Thank you. You talked earlier about being on the lookout for game-changing television. How much do you think that next game changer could potentially come from the world of YouTube, the vloggers, and those young people who are making television without the help of anyone professional?
Did everybody hear the question okay? Yeah, great.
God, I think the next hit can come from anywhere. And that's why we're entering into a more complicated world. And I suspect there was a time when, in order to get a hit, you just booked the right writer, gave him money, and you ended up with, you know, you had a David Croft and you ended up with Heidi High and all the major comedies that he did. And I think now it's harder to sniff out where the next show is going to come from. I think viewers' demands from TV are still that they want an immersive, touching experience. And it sounds a very basic thing, but with the size of TVs increasing and the quality of image getting better, I think whoever comes up with an idea needs TV expertise to make it really zing on a TV screen. I watch lots of YouTube with my two sons who are 11 and 12, and you know, lots of the things they love are going to have proper TV expertise to turn them into something that will look brilliant on most people's HD TV. But it might be that the creativity rests outside the traditional TV industry.
Okay, great. And there's a gentleman there, yeah.
I think I've just fooled about in this series, in this session, haven't I? I should have used lots of words like lots of the other controllers.
Well, I've seen people writing quite a lot of notes.
Really?
I think we might have...
Doodling?
Yeah. There's one lady who's saying that she's written down some notes.
She might be an artist, like a courtroom drama person.
Stuart, you mentioned the Galapagos series earlier on. Is natural history, is that an area that Sky's going to continue in?
Potentially. It was about whether we do natural history. Potentially. I mean, I only want to do stuff if we can blow everyone else out of the water. And I think what we did with Galapagos did precisely that. I think then what we did earlier, what we'd done with David Attenborough and Flying Monsters that won a BAFTA did that. So I, in all honesty, will probably do a few things of enormous scale. So probably one a year, I imagine.
Okay, we've probably got time for one more question, if there are any. If not, I think we will... No, I'm going to take that as a no. Last, going on. In which case, I would just like to thank Stuart Murphy a lot. Please show him your appreciation.